You're listening to Forward Faster, bite-sized insights for entrepreneurs.
Hi, welcome to Forward Faster. I'm Dr. Damon Diehl, and I am the Technology Program Manager at the Luminate accelerator. We are the only accelerator that is focused solely on optics and photonics and imaging. Today, we have Dr. Edgar Janunts, and he is the CEO and founder of AkknaTek. And Edgar today is going to be talking about technology that he is developing for cataract eye surgery to improve the outcomes. Edgar, cataract surgery is, I think, the most common surgery that's being performed right now, if I remember what you've said before. And what are the problems that you're seeing that you wanted to address with cataract surgery?
Thanks a lot, Damon, for the invitation. Yes, indeed. Cataract surgery is the number one surgical procedure in the United States. And since the foldable lenses were introduced to the market, it became a relatively safe procedure. But in the past, patients did not have so many lens options to meet their visual needs. And the focus of cataract surgery nowadays is not any longer to recover the vision and not only to make it safe, but also to recover the natural vision and be able to accommodate and remain spectacle-free.
So what is the problem that you're solving? What is causing the people to be unhappy with these premium contact lenses?
With these new advanced technological lenses, they could get accommodation, be spectacle-free, and have higher contrast. But it turned out that the lens dislocation in the eye after surgery is critical for these advanced lenses, and it does not always work the way they are intended to work. And this is the problem which we're trying to solve.
It sounds like the alignment is the critical aspect of making these intraocular lenses work best. How common is that problem right now?
Yeah, it's a good question. Misalignment could happen anytime. The question is whether we can identify that. And there are many different reasons why it could happen. And one of the main reasons is because these lenses are injected into the eye with a preloaded special syringes. It will be injected into the dye and then it unfolds by its own through about nearly 2 millimeter cut through the cornea. And then surgeon positions that accordingly in the eye. But the full unfolding process takes longer as the surgical procedure is. And another reason is there is no guarantee that the lens is not tilted into the eye. There are no ways to see that through a microscope, operating microscope. And there are also no devices to measure it, whether the lens is few degrees tilted. And there is also a possibility to see if the lens is dislocated, discentered in the eye by 0.4 or 0.5 millimeter from a visual axis, which is an imaginary axis inside the eye, which is not visible to the surgeon.
And have these problems with the performance of the lenses, has that been affecting the market for the lenses? If it seems like if people aren't happy with the results, has that been affecting them making a decision whether or not they're going to buy intraocular lenses, these specialized lenses?
If they go for these premium lenses, they expect usually to have better vision afterwards. And even if 1 or 2 cases out of 10 goes wrong and the patient is unhappy afterwards, and this would be a question, can we identify the reason why this is the case and would be able to fix it? As a consequence of this case is if the lens is dislocated in the eye, and this is the reason why the patient is dissatisfied, there will follow refractive surgery or an implantation of an additional lens inside the eye. And this brings additional risks and costs for the patient.
How common is this form of misalignment, and how is it affecting the market for intraocular lenses, these precision special lenses?
Yes, misalignment could happen anytime, and there are different reasons for that. And we know if the lens is dislocated in the eye, there will be a post cataract remaining residual refractive error. And this makes patient, of course, dissatisfied if that is the case. And there is no possibility to identify it, then this is going to be a challenge for a surgeon.
And early diagnosis is the key. That's the problem that you're addressing, that the sooner that your surgeon knows that there's been a decentration, the sooner they can do a chance of less invasive it will be. Is that correct?
Precisely, yes.
Okay.
What we suggest with our innovative technology, we say let's consider the positioning inside the eye, because we know from many different publications and clinical reports that is a case. With our technology, we enable first time to measure the lens positioning inside the eye after the surgery. And should there be any dislocation, there is a possibility to correct the lens inside the eye, and then the target results could be achieved then intuitively.
So, Edgar, what is the fundamental benefit of Ocnitex's technology?
With our technology, we provide a win-win situation for all participants in cataract treatment. But first of all, for millions of patients, they would avoid doing additional surgeries, and it would reduce for them risks and costs. Our innovation helps surgeons to ensure target results, by that improving the profitability and the patient satisfaction. For healthcare system, this means cost reduction and improving first-time quality. And that also in the long term brings patient satisfaction and the cost reduction of the entire healthcare system.
So you're saying a lot of interesting things about the future of vision. These precision special lenses are one of them. As someone who's an expert in ophthalmology, what other trends do you see in ophthalmology? Where do you see the medical treatment going? What can we be looking for in the future?
The premium lens has been on the market nearly about 15 years. And currently the implantation rate is still about 8%. It's relatively low for that what is promised. But in the last years, what we see the trend, acceptance rate is growing rapidly. Over 70% clinics in the US, they are already implanting the premium lenses, high-end lenses. This is definitely a direction where it goes towards. And other trends also are artificial intelligence or deep learning, what we are looking at, especially for optical imaging and vision care. There is a huge potential for early diagnosis.
Okay, that's amazing. These are my first glasses that have progressive lenses in them. And so I'm very much excited to hear that in the future there may be options for me to not have to wear my corrective eyeglasses anymore. You're in the third cohort for Luminate, and I'm curious to know, what have you found to be the most helpful thing for you at this point?
The time of preparation for US market entry, we came into contact with Luminate. And from this point on, it was obvious for us the cooperation with Luminate. And what makes special Luminate for us is Luminate is working with companies dealing with optics, hardware, imaging, and that is the understanding from Luminate perspective, the business concepts and solutions in the math makes special for us. Luminate offers us an excellent ecosystem and outstanding contacts in the industry, which accelerates our market entry in US.
And that was really the impetus for starting the program. We have some podcasts that we've talked about what makes the optics industry so challenging for startups. And we strive to make this a unique program. Are there any things that you were surprised about when you started the Luminate program, when you're coming in, things that maybe you weren't expecting?
We heard a lot about Great Rochester area, and we've been surprised by the density of optical companies and technologies in Rochester. Optical companies, also RIT. And that was that was attractive to get in contact with them, and with some of them we have also like partnerships.
As someone who was accepted into the program, we do have a lot of people applying. You're encouraging people to apply. What advice would you give people to be a successful applicant for our program now that you are in the program?
Yes, in terms of the application process, that's an interesting question. In terms of application process, definitely do not skip technical slides and technical details. The judges have a great understanding on, maybe not in very detail, but definitely talk about the technique and the concepts. Make a good video explaining the core message value proposition. And it does not need to be very professional in terms of the video shooting, but it's an easy process to make a video, but just reflect the core message, what you want to communicate.
And another question I have along those lines is, you have also a lot of experience in the world of startups. Do you have advice for someone who is getting started as a startup company, or in the middle, in order for them to move forward successfly?
This is always
You've had good or bad experience, I'm sure.
It's a tricky question to give advice, but a few pieces of advices I would be able to give. Definitely verify the market. Get in contact with customers early and check their needs, whether your product is reflecting what they are expecting, not to make a product what you yourself think it could be, but also justify that with the customers early possible. Mm-hmm. What also is, sometimes I've seen like it's kind of postponed regulatories. Take care of the also regulatory requirements. If you are especially in a regulated field, like medical devices would be, and from the very early design prototyping phase, and check about what requirements do I need to meet, and if that is incorporated in during the development phase, this is going to be somewhat easier at the end. And also consider some team members who takes care regulatory aspects. This is going to be a couple of work in there.
That's really great advice. We have watched as you have worked to get your regulation, and that you managed to get your certification in Europe this past year, I believe. So you're ready for assembly right now.
Yes, we do have a set.
Yeah. Let's say 10 years from now, if I go to my ophthalmologist, if I looked 10 years ago, all I could do was have contact lenses that had the astigmatism corrected. If I look at 10 years now, what do you think I'll be able to get as a patient when I go to an ophthalmologist? What
I believe, that is what is a premium solution today. In 10 years, I believe this is going to be a state of the art. There are also other clinical works done, great work done in other disciplines in ophthalmology, addressing glaucoma, AMD, or keratoconus. And these are also, I believe, the time will come in about 10 years, then healthcare or vision care will be in a better shape as it is now.
Yeah, that is, a lot of the companies that have been coming through the Luminate accelerator have worked on complementary technologies to what you're doing. And it's exciting to see what is going to be possible as medicine has been progressing. To tilt that question a little bit, for your company specifically, where do you see yourself in 10 years as AkknaTek? Where do you want to be?
We are so much dependent on our vision, and any slight visual impairment, makes a huge impact on our life quality. And if we can make it happen, that in the future there are no reasons, whether it's technical or other reasons, that for any patient they could get best possible visual quality, visual outcome after cataract treatment. And this is where we go for.
Then, Edgar, I want to thank you very much for joining us today and very much for being part of Luminate. To our viewers, I want to encourage you to follow Forward Faster as a continuing podcast series. You can find us at nextcore.org.podcast, and the spelling is tricky. It's NEXT and then CORPS. That S at the end is very important. If that's tricky, then you can also follow us on Spotify and iTunes if you just look for the term NextCore Forward Faster. And thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Damon, for having me.